Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome here to the launch pad and our final countdown to launch coverage of the final flight of Delta 4 Heavy. If it's your first time here, welcome. My name's Zach. I'm the founder and host here at the launch pad, and here at TLP, it's our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow because we believe that space is better together. And as you can see on that countdown clock, we are now just 29 minutes, 30 seconds away from the final flight of Delta 4 Heavy. Teams have been progressing through propellant load on the vehicle for the last couple of hours, and everything is looking good for the final flight here today. Weather 90% go for launch, and we're going to listen in to mission control here as we continue to count down to launch. If you haven't yet, take a moment, engage that like button, share out the stream, invite people to join us. Also take a moment and let us know in the chat where you're watching from. We'll do some shout outs. If you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad, and we will work on answering those live here today. Let's listen into mission control.
70 for the National Reconnaissance Office. I'm here at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida, where liftoff is currently scheduled for 12:53 p.m. Eastern. In addition to watching our webcast, you can also follow live mission progress at ulalaunch.com. The count is currently in a planned hold. We have 2 planned holds in our launch count, which give our team additional time to resolve any issues prior to entering the terminal count. At this time, the team is not working any issues and we're proceeding towards an on-time liftoff. Live mission coverage will continue through payload fairing jettison, which occurs about 6.5 minutes after liftoff. To tell us more about today's mission customer, let's go to ULA's Ben Chilton over at a viewing location on the causeway.
Thanks, Andrea. I'm Ben Chilton, an ordnance engineer at ULA, and I'm joining you from the ITL Causeway just a few miles south of Space Launch Complex 37. There's a lot of people out here on the causeway that have come to watch this last launch of the Delta IV Heavy, and it's a beautiful Florida day for us to witness this rocket take off. Today's mission is for the National Reconnaissance Office, or NRO. The NRO is the leader in developing, acquiring, launching, and operating the nation's intelligence, surveillance, and reconnaissance satellites to secure and expand America's advantage in space. The NROL-70 mission will strengthen the NRO's ability to provide a wide range of timely intelligence information to national decision makers, warfighters, and intelligence analysts to protect the nation's vital interests and support humanitarian efforts worldwide. Back to you, Andrea.
This is the 16th and final flight of the Delta IV Heavy rocket and ULA's 160th launch. Here's more about this heavy lift rocket.
And for those just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad. We are continuing to count down to the final flight of Delta IV Heavy, launching from Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. They're running through a video here. We're continuing to monitor weather conditions down on the range, which currently are sitting at 90% go. We do have some sustained winds that they are watching around the launch site, but nothing that is out of launch parameter at this time. The Delta IV Heavy launch vehicle is have 2 strap-on side stages, which are identical to its core stage, making it very similar to Falcon Heavy with 3 core stages as stage, and then the Centaur as a second stage. It's about $350 million to fly the Delta IV Heavy, which is one of the reasons that ULA is retiring this vehicle. Today's mission is NRL-70. It is a classified mission for the National Reconnaissance Office, meaning we won't get any more updates following payload fairing separation of the payload, as it is a classified mission. Today's launch site is Slick 37B at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida. This will be the 16th and final mission for Delta IV Heavy. Its first flight this year. Its last occurred last summer. If you want to take a moment, make sure you engage that like button, share out the stream, invite people to join us as we watch history. There is a countdown clock on your screen, T-minus 25 minutes, 25 seconds and counting. That is the real-world countdown time to the current targeted T0. The countdown clock you see on the ULA screen is their operative countdown. This is T-minus versus L-minus. T-minus clocks can pause, and we will see it pause at the T-minus 4-minute mark for a planned hold. Our clock will continue running, giving you a better idea of exactly how long you have before we should see liftoff here today. As always, if you have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch and we'll work on answering those live. Also, make sure you can launchpad.store and you can pick in commemorative mission keys for the Delta 4 heavy vehicle. I know some people have already picked those up, and you can check those out today. Global shipping is available, lots of different sizes. As I say, keep sending in those comments and questions. We'll work on answering those live. You're looking at a live view of Flight 37B at Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida.
Go ahead.
Proceed with final pneumatic preps.
Roger.
With this launch, we are remembering an NRO teammate. Here is Mission Director, Colonel Eric Zaribaninski.
This is the MD. This afternoon's NROL 70 launch is dedicated to the memory of Colonel Edward Chip Zakrzewski. Chip dedicated his career to the advancement of space launch and to the success of NRO missions. He was a fierce advocate and leader for the Office of Space Launch and in the broader space launch community. Chip was the OSL director for the first Delta IV Heavy launch, so it is only fitting that the last Delta IV Heavy launch is dedicated to him. To our leader, mentor, and friend, Godspeed, Chip. MD out.
LC concurs. LD.
LD concurs.
MD.
MD concurs.
ABE, are you in a position to perform the task as the anomaly team has directed?
Affirmative.
Roger.
T-minus 8 minutes.
ALB launch.
Memory of
CMA
colleagues who are
configure
no longer with us.
CCTV for video recording.
Let's remember our teammates.
Roger.
Today's flight is dedicated to Doug Thompson, Mark Cox, Brent Bonar, and George Lucian.
If you're just joining us, welcome here to the launch pad and our live coverage of the final flight of Delta 4 Heavy, T-minus 21 minutes, 55 seconds, and counting till launch. As always, if you guys have questions, you can send those in the chat by tagging us at the launch pad. I see a question coming in. Can you share the flight trajectory? Hoping I can see it from Southeast Georgia. I'll work to see if I can get that on screen here for you guys quickly. But this is a mostly easterly trajectory. So if you do want to be able to see this flight, you would be along the eastern seaboard to be able to see that. But give me a moment and we'll work on getting that on the screen for you. If you guys have questions like that one, keep sending them in the chat, taking us at the launch pad, and we will work on answering them live. If you happen to see today's flight in person and you can take a photo of it, make sure you tag us on social media with at the launch pad or at tlpn_official over on X. And for those just joining us, T-minus 20 minutes, 13 seconds, and Counting there on your screen is now a look at the view. So if you're anywhere in the eastern Florida region, all the way just to the very edge of Tampa, you will have an opportunity to see today's flight. If you're down in the Bahamas as well, might have some incredible views from down there on a cruise ship just off the coast of Florida. Today's flight will be visible all the way up to about the coast region. If you're right there on the eastern coastline, Florida, it is a basically straight easterly trajectory based on what they're telling us. Remember, this is a classified mission for the National Reconnaissance Office, which means we don't always get the full detail on where this vehicle is going, but we will hopefully still have confirmation of a successful deployment following at a later point. T minus 19 minutes, 20 seconds, and counting. We are at T minus 4 minutes, 55 seconds in the operational count. This is expected to hold at the T minus 4 minute mark, and we will also wait for that final go, no go from Mission Control. So let's listen back into ULA Mission Control as we count down to the final Delta 4 Heavy.
This is Delta Mission Control at T minus 4:18. We anticipate entering the hold in just a few moments.
T minus 4 minutes and holding. This is a 15-minute built-in hold.
LC switch to not ready position.
Since 1960, Delta rockets have been an integral part of America's space program. The on-orbit assets it has launched have improved life across the globe. Let's take a look.
And if you're just joining us, T minus is 4 minutes and holding officially on the clock for the final flight of Delta 4 Heavy. We are at L minus 17 minutes 20 seconds approximately for today's flight. I want to give a huge shout out to our rocket chase team down on the Space Coast. I know we've got Gavin and Joe and Eric and a bunch of others scattered across the Space Coast, some of which who were on flights late last night, having covered the solar eclipse in other states in the United States, rush back to be there for this final flight. Joe was out there early today, setting up our remote cameras back out the pad. Make sure you stay tuned on our social media. TLPN_official on X or our Discord or our Facebook to make sure you stay tuned for those photos. If you are interested in space and want to possibly become part of the TLP crew, definitely take a moment and during this hold, fill in an application. We are looking to bring on some new launch commentators to join me on some exciting missions coming up in the near future, as well as journalists as we work to relaunch a brand new TLPnetwork.com coming in the near future with a full space news side of the site, and more moderators and just general crew as well. So take a moment, fill out one of those applications. We're starting interviews this week to invite more of you on. So if you agree with our mission to inform and inspire the explorers of tomorrow because you too believe that space is better, take a moment and fill out one of those applications. With T minus 4 minutes and holding, we are at L minus 16 minutes and counting, waiting for that go from the mission control net. If you haven't moment, engage out the stream, invite people to join us as we continue to count down of an incredible final flight of Delta 4 Heavy. I had the true privilege of watching